You are listening to Why Such a Fuss podcast, sponsored by CVG Solutions, with your host, Christina Vanini-Goodchild, and guests.
Welcome to another episode of Why Such a Fuss. Today I'm joined by Claire Ryan from Fusion Consulting, a business transformation specialist, fractional CTO and CIO, and technology strategy expert. Great to have you on the show, Claire.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me.
Oh, great. Now, it's great that you are a technology strategy expert because today's discussion is focused on AI. Now, when we say AI, straight away, at least I do, I think ChatGPT. Obviously, there are other tools like, Copilot, Gemini, and so on. But how have you seen businesses using this tool, Claire? And what other AI tools are out there and what do they do, if you know?
So a lot of people actually, when they think about AI, they think ChatGPT, as you said, and people are using that to help them with their productivity. Quite a lot of people use it just to create emails, gives them a good structure, and it also helps them structure documents. So from a productivity point of view, for admin type work within a business, it really is moving people on. What we're beginning to see now is people doing more automation. So how do you actually use AI to automate processes, mainly the manual processes that happen or that take place? And that's, of course, where we need to start having data and a history of specific to the business to understand what the business does to be able to actually make it valuable and efficient within the business.
Yes. Now, what I've noticed also again recently is that there is more and more of an increase again on this kind of AI tools for note taking, which, like you said, the admin kind of task. And I see the obviously this practice is increasing, and I do see the advantage of that. The fact that you're not having to take notes during a meeting, in particular like an online meeting. Yeah. For me, this isn't just me, what then happens to me is then if I don't take the notes during the meeting, then I have to find the time later on to either re-listen or reread the script, time that actually I don't have. So I'm not really sure how that makes me more efficient. At least that's me.
It at least gives you an accurate recording of the meeting, and it helps people not have to have this conversation that says, well, it didn't happen. So it gives you that little bit of efficiency. And for some people, they won't go back and take any notes or won't do anything. So it is that recording. It's there. I guess that brings us into the challenge of what's said in the meeting, and do you want always, because sometimes there's notes you don't take in meetings, they shouldn't really be recorded. So where does that leave you with kind of a privacy and conversations that are happening?
Well, yes.
Yes. And of course, that's what you know.
The element, yes. Yes. So, and that actually, it's really interesting because, what if I don't want you to record me? Then where does that leave us? Again, because if I'm thinking of, I have had, various meetings where people come on a Zoom or on Teams, and straight away you see that they've sent, there is the note taker, or sometimes they even just send a note taker. They don't even attend.
Correct.
And what if I don't want that? What if I say no to it? Then where does that leave them? Because obviously, you are recording me and therefore you need my consent.
And that's one thing that we don't get. But I've actually also heard conversations where people are now saying they won't, if you're the owner of the meeting, you don't allow note takers to come in. Yes. And they really don't want to have somebody, don't send your note taker instead of you, because that really it's kind of it's almost seen as being bad manners or bad practice. Absolutely. But I think it is now getting us to a stage of which we'd never thought about in the past, is what is our process and what are our policies now around even having a note taker in our meetings, which is, as for a business, we'd never had to think about that before, had we?
No. I mean, as I said, I do see the practicality of it, because then you can actually be fully present in the meeting. Obviously, we're primarily focusing on the note-taking aspects. But again, it still leaves the if you want, the controller of the note taker with the responsibility to then sort of make sure that if something is being said that is private, that should not be recording, to then either stop the recording or delete it and confirm to the other people that it has been deleted, that piece of the conversation, so to speak. So actually, while it gives you productivity from one side, it also adds additional responsibility on the other.
Correct.
And so all I'm saying is, be prepared for it. And if you are introducing these AI tools, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't, it's just that you need to understand your full responsibility and your full commitment. So you have to have the correct processes in place, the correct training in place. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Because again, moving away from note taking in general, a lot of automation and AI tools that do automation, they're actually quite useful. In particular, they would then enable a business to make informative decisions, because data is actually as important as your employee. Is an asset.
And some people are even talking about now that the generative AI is actually, you're going to have to think about them as being your employee.
Yes.
And how you're going to kind of have them in that workforce. So I think as business owners, we're going to have to think about what this, the different types of employees we have. We'll have an AI employee at some stage along the way as well.
Absolutely. And then, we got to remember that AI feeds on data.
Yeah.
It always reminds me, I don't know if you ever seen, it's a film, in a 1980s film called Number 5, where there is this robot that gets lost, and he keeps asking for input, and they're giving him data and books to read. And he sort of absorb this data, and then he kind of, develop emotions and become human. But that's very much AI in terms of, AI feeds on data. And so you really need to be careful what data you feed into it, because, that data, it doesn't just is restricted to your environment. It could go out into the ether, so to speak. And if that data is personal data or you have copyright, you're going to be losing all of that. And so you've got to really be careful and understand, again, your responsibilities as the business.
Yes.
So again, your teams, your employees need to be trained and understand what are the consequences, of inputting certain information into the AI tool. If you allow them to use, ChatGPT or similar, for creating emails, for creating, I don't know, a report or something like that, be mindful that data is now going into the ethers, and everybody can actually
and everybody has it, or you have to make sure that you have your restrictions in place.
Absolutely.
It's all going to be like a while ago we all had to worry about cyber, and now it's going to be AI data.
Yes.
I think it's like it's the next evolving of policies within a business.
Yes. Yeah, so I mean, obviously, with my data protection hat on.
Yeah, you're more conscious about it. I need the data to be able to make things work.
So, whenever you're thinking of introducing an AI to whatever that might be, as a conscientious business, not just because it's the requirement of the law, but because it's the right thing to do, in order for you to maintain and build trust with your employees and your customers, please, absolutely, you must do a DPIA, a data processing impact assessment, because that will also give you, by doing this, will also give you the perimeters, if you want, on how to use the AI and what measures you need to put in place to make sure that you're using it for the purpose that you want to use it, to obtain what you want out of it, but in a way that it's safe for the humans, but also protects your data and your copyrights at the same time. And also remember that, if you're using these tools to make informative decision, you've got to really make sure that the data that goes in it is accurate, because otherwise you're going to end up with a situation of rubbish in and rubbish out, and actually then the decision that you're going to make is probably based on wrong information. So it's really important. Yeah.
And when I work with people who are going to migrate to a new system, you always kind of do this data cleanse. And it's the same thing that needs to happen when you're going into feeding into whatever data AI tool you're going to use. It's that data cleanse, clear out what isn't right, and try and get it into a better form that it actually is going to help your business go forward. Because there isn't going to be somebody there checking whether that address looks right. Now, when it comes across, it's going to go straight through.
Yes, yeah. I mean, this brings me back to my project management day, back in the IT world. Every time, we sort of implemented a new system, you have to go through that data quality, data cleansing exercise, because then from a project management perspective back then, otherwise the project would not be successful, because actually then the tool would not do what you want it to do. And so, but obviously from a data protection perspective,
you really want to clear it out.
Yeah, so they're going to be swapping my heads. I should have, real heads moving.
Yeah. But as people can't see it, it's okay.
Having inaccurate data can actually lead to some serious harm to individuals. That's the point of data protection, is to protect individuals from harm through the use of their personal data. And so that is really paramount. And also the cleansing should be based on your retention policy. You should have one, with a retention schedule. So all of that actually should fit nicely together. Do you see what I mean? So, and it should be part of how you operate, how an organization operates. But also, we see organization using, again, data, for like, I remember when I was, again, working in corporate, we used to, as a manager, I used to collect timesheeting from my team. Not because I wanted to monitor and track them, that wasn't the purpose. The purpose was so that I could understand how they were utilized, so that I could then shift the work around that utilization. But it would also highlight need for recruitment, for example. So that is part of managing a business. And data protection doesn't stop you from doing that. It simply says that you need to do it in a transparent way. Just simply need to, make them aware that's what's happening, and have a purpose for it, have a lawful basis for it. Don't just do it for the sake of doing it, because then it doesn't matter what tool you're using. Even if you're doing it manually, it's still not right. Yeah.
And of course, and as AI goes forward, it's going to allow you and alarm you to all those things that you've said, rather than you even have to thinking about pulling that data together. If everything's accurate, it's going to kind of go, ping, need somebody else, look at this, isn't right. So that's where you can see the productivity in the future. So I think the excitement bit is if we get the data right now, what can we do in the future to actually to remove some of the manual tasks that we do, to actually that we can make more informed and more accurate decisions.
Absolutely. And data is the backbone of every business. You need it in order to run it, and so again, it depends what, obviously, if you're using personal data, data protection is important. I'm not going to stress it, but yeah, and again, be aware and be mindful of your responsibilities, I guess. And if you are a responsible business, none of these should be seen as a burden, but actually it's an investment. It's operating with ethic, do you know what I mean, and with high standards. And actually what that will do in the long run will actually grant you more credibility, will strengthen your brand, your presence in the market, and will help you to win bids, to be honest.
So I don't think either of us are saying you don't use the data. It's just, it's with the right guidance, the data can be used and it can actually move a business onwards.
Absolutely. And obviously, Claire can help you with, the introduction, the implementation of those tools and choosing the right tools for your business. That's, a core expertise. And, and I can help you with the data protection side, which actually goes really nicely, together to make sure that, everything that you do is done in a way that it's right and lawful and ethical as well, but also right for the business. You know, it has to be both ways. You know, there has to be so yes, so great talking to you, Claire.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's been great chatting.
Oh, good. I love this topic.
I'm sure we may have some more chats as well.
Oh, I'm sure we will. I'm sure we will. Would you like to share your contact details should the audience would like to get in touch with you?
Okay, so I'm Claire, Claire, at Fusion, Fusione Consulting what's my address? Fusion Consulting, fusion.co.uk. Sorry.
Okay. Brilliant. And if you would like to get in touch with me, you can reach me on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Just search for CVG Solutions. Alternatively, just email me at info@cvgsolutions.co.uk. Thank you for watching.